Good morning, everyone. This morning's Carmelite Mystic is Titus Brandsma. Titus Brandsma was a Dutch Carmelite friar. And our theme this morning with him is we are never alone. In naming that theme, I don't want to make the assumption that we all mean the same thing by that, or that even if it's true. I think it's a good question to ask of ourselves in the sense of renewing our belief around it. Are we alone? What does it mean to be alone or not to be alone? If we are never alone, what actually is that for you? What gives you deep consolation in that? And for Titus, I'm going to draw upon his relationship with Jesus. And in that, I think there is a real shining example of the consolation for him that came about from realizing that Jesus was always with him and he was always with Jesus. So to give you a little bit of background about Titus, he was born in the late 1800s. We have very little of his writings. He was ordained a priest in 1905, very young, 24 years old. He excelled in academics. He taught for many, many years. He even founded a school of mysticism and translated some of Teresa of Avila's works into Dutch. He was also prolific as a journalist and a person who was socially activist driven in his life. And if you, of course, we're all aware of what came about with the Third Reich and everything that was happening, probably into his mid-40s. He was outspoken. This is before the invasion into the Netherlands. He was outspoken in his stance adamantly against the ideology of the Third Reich. He saw it from afar. He understood it for what it was, and he vehemently spoke out. The Netherlands were invaded in 1940. So at that time, Titus, of course, is 60 at that point, years old. And when they invaded, then what went along with that, as if you're lightly aware of that period before World War II and into World War II, is that there were a lot of publications, there was a lot of propaganda, there was a lot of documents. And one of the ways that made the Nazi regime so impactful was their ability to penetrate the press very quickly and get out documents that would be either misleading or convincing or just lay down what they were going to do. And Titus Brandsma was one of the chief instruments as to why the documents were not put into popularly read publications in the Netherlands. He, in fact, in 1942, from a commission that happened, the bishops met because they had to decide what to do. And if you know, a lot of times religion is very influential in what gets into publications, and even religious publications would have been highly read in communities that had specific belief systems. So there were a lot of Catholic publications at that time, and the bishops decided that they were going to put out the edict not to put any Nazi documents in any publications. And Titus Brandsma made the personal choice to hand deliver this edict to as many places as he could. He succeeded in getting it into the hands of, how many? I was 14 or 19, 14 editors he got it into the hands of. And when he got to the next monastery, Boxmeer, he was arrested. The Nazis had been aware of him for a long time, and he was on their list. So it was just a matter of time before they found him. He was imprisoned in 3 kind of holding container camps until he was sent away to Dachau. And in Dachau, he didn't last very long there. And he ended up dying of a lethal injection. As you know, many of the prisoners there were used for experimentation of different drugs. And he actually died of one of the lethal injections. He was only there for maybe a month and a half. And he gave his rosary to the person that injected him. So I don't know if he knew he was going to die and he gave his rosary, or if it was an intuitive move, but he gave his rosary to the one that had the needle. The needle went into his body and he died after that. So our meditation today is very practical and opens up a possibility of communing with Titus in this proposition that we are never alone. And again, I invite you to explore and be open to that part of yourself where your understanding of that is your very own. For Titus, he was never alone because he felt Jesus was always with him. That may or may not be operative or so for you. I find that I am never alone, but I have a vast language for what the experience of that is. So I invite you to close your eyes. And we have the taste in this moment that we are not alone in this meditation. We have those that are meditating with us across time and space. And there is a certain communing that we have together. So I invite you, as I have invited in most of the meditations, to go back to that place where you can sense or imagine us sitting in circle, a place that is deeply inspirational to you. And invite in all the Carmelites that have been with us so far on this journey. The anonymous Carmelite, Elizabeth, Therese, Titus, Mary Magdalene de Pazzi, John, and I invite in all other Carmelites. And invite in all your angels and guides, loved ones, friends, spiritual beings to support known and unknown. For together we form that golden ring of alliance. And then draw close to the personal experience, whether it's presently the awareness that you are on a solitary journey, or whether there's a poignant moment in your life that you have had where the sense of aloneness was or is most strong. And in the field of intelligence that holds all, the Akasha, allow the words of this poem of Titus from his time of imprisonment, allow it to speak its own truth to you. He was allowed to have a picture of Jesus in his cell, and it was his refuge, a sense of companionship. A new awareness of your love encompasses my heart. Sweet Jesus, I in you and you in me shall never part. No grief shall fall my way, but I shall see your grief-filled eyes. The lonely way that you once walked has made me sorrow wise. All trouble is a white lit joy that lights my darkest day. Your love has turned to brightest light this night-like way. If I have you alone, the hours will bless. With still, cold hands of love, my utter loneliness. Stay with me, Jesus, only stay. I shall not fear. If reaching out my hand, I find you near. Let us awaken to a new awareness of love. And let us allow it to encompass our heart. For that encompassing is the direct knowing we are never alone. And let us hold an intention of loving kindness for all humanity. And allow that loving kindness to extend to the fibers of creation, past, present, and future. That where there is the anguish of the feeling of being alone, that may be lifted through presence. And in that, we begin to end our meditation. Connect now with your body wherever you may be sitting and however you may be sitting. Become aware that you are here and that you're blessed in your being here, that your very being here is blessed and is a blessing. And in the awareness of that, wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. And I invite you to open your eyes. Have a great day, everyone. I will see you tonight at 5 p.m. We have a fun one planned. Blessings. Bye.